While I wouldn't mark the Famicom at its end of life quite yet, you know it's getting up in years when major series that started on it depart for other platforms. This is the fourth Tantei Jinguji Saburo game on a Nintendo platform. Two of them were Disk System games, and one of those Disk System games was a two-part release. And after this, the next platform that the detective appears on will be the PlayStation. Or maybe the Saturn. I think both of them released at the same time. The title of this final Famicom outing was taken from a popular song, but not the one you're thinking of. The plot of the game is that while taking a walk through a park where he found a dead body a few years ago, Jinguji encounters a dog that he worked with on a previous case. And from that, he reminisces about that case, which involved a missing painting, a young boy whose mother has disappeared, and that dog which he was watching for the owner. Now here's the strange thing. Almost the entire game is told in flashback. And for some reason, they decided to make all of the flashback scenes sepia-toned. So you're going to be looking at yellows and browns through this whole game, except for the bookending segments and a very occasional cut back to the person that Jinguji is talking to in the park. At times, instead of controlling Jinguji, you'll be guiding Yoko, his assistant with an asymmetrical haircut. As with most mystery adventures, you've got a series of commands that you pick through. Things like go, talk, search. When you meet somebody for the first time, you need to hand them your business card, and you can pass time by smoking a cigarette. You also have the ability to get a password at any time, and the passwords in this game are just 4-digit numbers. Much easier to keep track of and enter. This is one of those adventure games that requires that you choose the same command over and over again until you get a different result. That one always bothers me, but it is kind of hard for me to judge these adventure games. If I could take 4 or 5 days to play them, properly translating as I go, then I'd have a very different experience from what I normally get out of them, which is just following along with a video walkthrough. I'm mentioning this because Japanese fans of the series consider this to be a very well-written game. It's a small-scale story about a family in trouble, and as the detective, you need to piece down how the family broke apart, and that's what leads you to the solution to the crimes. There's no murders or death in this game, which is unique among Famicom mystery adventures. But just because the stakes aren't finding a murderer, doesn't mean that the story doesn't work. This game's actually been remade multiple times, once for the PlayStation, and once for the Nintendo DS, and the DS version was actually translated to English. There was even a very late Famicom Disk System port that was planned. It would have been a 2-disc set released in 1991, which if released would have made it the 6th to last Famicom Disk System game. While I find the visual style of Tantei Jinguji Saburo Toki no Sugiyuku mama ni to be unappealing, the fact that it has so many fans in Japan who point to this as one of the great adventure games on the Famicom makes me want to revisit it and give it a much deeper look. We're rather rapidly coming to the end of adventure games on the Famicom, and the genre has come a long way in just a few years. Yes, the gameplay is still the same, but the presentation has become more sophisticated, and so has the writing. This one's a great example of where that mystery adventure genre is going.